Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel, Lessons with Guitarman. My name's Aaron, and I'll be your designated driver here today for this fantastic song, Up and Around the Bend. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard this song or ever heard the great CD Drive by Bela Fleck, but man, what a great record this is. I think every tune on it is one that I just absolutely love and have been listening to for so many years. All the great players at the time, like Tony Rice, Jerry Douglas, Bela Fleck, Sam Bush, Stuart Duncan, and on and on and on are all on this CD, and it's just absolutely fantastic. I decided to go ahead and do this tune on this channel because this is one of those tunes that I honestly, in all my years of playing out in the world, I don't think I've ever seen anyone play this song. So I figured, you know what, why don't I just go ahead and take this tune and do it, and you'll have something a little different than everybody else is playing, and maybe you can take this to your next little gig or jam session and see what you can do with it. So let's go ahead and dive right in there and see what makes this thing work. So the pickup line here is going to be an open, 2. All right. And moving on to the first measure of the A part, you're going to have an open, 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 4. Open, 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 4. And then the next 4 notes are going to be 2, open, 2, 4. So that whole measure together is going to sound like so. Open, 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 4, 2, open, 2, 4. Or 1, 2, ready, go. Going on to measure number 2, you're going to have an open, 4, 3, 3. And if you look at this little shape here, which is a little G shape, like F, F sharp, G, okay? I found the easiest way to do this is to go open, then come up here with your middle finger, grab here, and come down. It's the only way that I can seem to make it work. So when you're going into it, it's open, 4, 3, 3. And it's just a little G arpeggio. And the last part of that measure is going to be hold both the 3s down here, or the top part of the G chord, and hammer onto the 5. Okay, so one more time. And that whole measure together is going to sound like so. And moving on to the third measure, you're going to have a 5, pull off to 3. All right, and then another 3, and back to 5. So it's 5, pull off to 3, 3, 5. And then the last 4 notes of the third measure are going to be 3, 4, open, 2. And that whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, and moving on to the fourth measure, you're going to have a 4, open, 4, 2, open. And right there, that's going to be a triplet or a pull off, pull off, pull off. So, and the last 3 notes of measure number 4 are going to be 2, open, 2. All together, you're going to have 4, open, a double pull off, 2, open, 2. All right, so let's go ahead now and play through the first 4 measures of the A section and see how that sounds. So 1, 2, ready, go. And moving on now to measure number 5, you're going to see that measure number 5 is exactly the same as measure number 1, so there's nothing new to learn there. And measure number 6 is exactly the same as measure number 2, so there's nothing new to learn there. And then moving on to measure number 7, it's basically exactly the same as measure number 3, except for the last note, you're going to hit a 4 instead of a 2. So there's really nothing new to learn there, but I will play through that anyways. So you're going to have 5, pull off to 3, 3, 5, 3, 4, open, 4. So right there you got that 4 for a last note instead of a 2, like we did in measure number 3. And then moving on to measure number 8, we're going to have a new little string of notes here where we go 2, open, a little triplet there, on the exact opposite of what we did on measure number 4, where we went 4, 2, open, and it was a pull off. we're going to do a double hammer on and go on the D string and go open 2, 4, and then an open G. And then the last two notes are an open 2. So the entire measure number 8 sounds like so. All right, so let's go ahead and play now through measures 5 through measure number 8 of the A section. So 1, 2, ready, go. And then you'll notice there is a second ending here in the A section on measure number 9, and there's nothing different there except for the last note, and instead of an E right here on the 2nd fret, you have a 2 or an 8 right here. Okay, so you just move from this note to this note. So that's going to sound like. Okay, let's go ahead now and play through the entire A section slowly and see what that sounds like and move on to the B section. So 1, 2, ready, go. All right, well, there you have the A section. So let's go ahead now and move on to the B part. What we're going to have in measure number 10 is an open, 1, 3, open, open, 1, 3, open. All right. The last few notes in measure 10 are going to be 3 hammer 5, and then do 2 picks on the 5 and the open, the top 2 strings, and go like so. So that whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. All right, and moving on now to measure number 11, you're going to have an open, 2, open, 1, 1 hammer 3. And then 2 more 3s. And that whole measure together is going to sound like so. And moving on to measure number 12, you're going to have an open, 2, open, 3, 1, open, 2, open, 3, 1, and then a double 2, open. All right, and that whole measure together, or measure number 12, is going to sound like so. Okay, and moving on to measure number 13 now, you're going to have an open, 2, open, 2, open, 2, open, 2. All right, and then the last 4 notes of that measure are going to be open, 2, open, 2. All right, and that whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. So let's go ahead now and play from measure number 10 through measure number 13 and see what that sounds like. So 1, 2, ready, go. Let's go ahead and move on now to measure number 14 in the B section and see what that sounds like. So measure number 14 is exactly the same as measure number 10, so there's nothing new to learn there. And measure number 15 is exactly the same as measure number 11, so there's nothing new to learn there. And moving on to measure number 16, you're going to have an open, 2, open, 3, 1, open, 2, open. So open, 2, open, 3, and then a 1, open, 2, open. And that whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. And then measure number 17 in the B section is going to sound like so. Open, 2, 4, open, open, 2, 4, open, and then open, open, 2. So that whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay. The second ending there, a measure number 18, is exactly the same as measure number 17, except you stop on the open G. So let's go ahead and play from measure 14 through measure number 17 of the B section and see what that sounds like. 1, 2, you know what to do. All right, so let's go ahead now and play through the whole B section and see what that sounds like. So 1, 2, ready, go. So let's go ahead now and play through this entire song slowly, and that'll be a wrap on this tune. 1, 2, you know what to do. All right, well, there you have Up and Around the Bend by Bela Fleck. Some final thoughts on this tune for you. There's a couple spots I'd pay close attention to, and that's in the beginning when we do the... For whatever reason, that seems to be a little bit weird to grab in real time. So pay close attention to that little G arpeggio there. And make sure you use your middle finger there to grab that one. And then in the B section, there's one little strange spot when you go get to measure number 12, and it's... that double 2 to the double open, For whatever reason, that gave me a little bit of an issue there when I was originally learning this song. Other than that, this tune is pretty straightforward. It'll be a great one to add to your repertoire and something that I think you could bring to your next gig or band or jam session, and one that I think you're going to have a whole lot of fun with. All right, well, that's a wrap on this tune. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. If you have any questions for me, feel free to send me an email listed below in the description. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll be seeing you down the road.